1240 Ibn al-Arabi, Muslim mystic and philosopher. The Meccan Revelations, dies at 75. In 1240 Saint Edmund of Abingdon, English bishop, Archbishop of Canterbury, 1233-40, dies. King of England 1216-72, Provisions of Oxford, dies at 65. In 1328 Prince Hisaaki, 8th Japanese sh-gun of the Kamakura shogunate 1289-1308, dies at 52. In 1512 Gerbrand Mockema, Fries rebel, beheaded. In 1512 Jemme Herjuwsma, Fries rebel, beheaded. In 1548 Caspar Cruciger, German church reformer, dies at 44. In 1603 Pierre Charron, French philosopher theologian, dies. In 1613 Trajano Boccalini, Italian satirist b. 1556. In 1628 Paolo Quagliati, Italian composer. In 1667 Nathaniel Schnittelbach, German composer and violinist, dies at 34. In 1668 Antoon Anselmo, South Netherlands lawyer, dies at about 79. In 1695 Pierre Nicole, French philosopher b. 1625. In 1706 Cornelis Evertsen the Youngest, Dutch admiral and buccaneer, dies at 64. In 1706 Godfried Schalcken, Dutch painter, etcher and engraver, dies at about 63. In 1724 Jack Sheppard, English burglar and prison escapee known as Honest Jack, hanged at 22. In 1745 James Butler, 2nd Duke of Ormonde, Irish statesman and soldier, dies at 80. In 1766 Dominikus Zimmermann, Bavarian Baroque architect and painter Ferenckerch, dies at 81. In 1773 John Hawkesworth, English writer. In 1775 Marian Paradeiser, Austrian composer, dies at 28. In 1779 Pehr Kalm, Finnish explorer and naturalist, first scientific description of Niagara Falls, dies at 63. In 1785 Johan Gottschalk Wallerius, Swedish chemist and mineralogist, dies at 76. In 1790 Daniel of St. Thomas Jennifer, American Continental Congressman b. 1723. In 1797 King Frederick William Roman II of Prussia b. 1744 reigns 1786-97. In 1802 Ander Micaux, French botanist, dies at 56. In 1806 Moses Cleveland, American politician and founder of Cleveland, Ohio, dies at 52. In 1808 Mustafa Roman IV, Sultan of Turkey 1807-08, dies at 29. In 1831 Augusta Ruse of Ebersdorf, German countess, grandmother of Queen Victoria and her husband Albert, dies at 74. In 1831 Karl von Clausewitz, Prussian Army General Napoleonic Wars, and military theorist vom Krieg on War, dies of cholera at 51. In 1835 Louis Angeli, German comedic poet Paris and Pommern, dies at 48. In 1836 Christian Hendrik Persoon, Cape Colony-born pioneering mycologist, dies at 75. In 1869 Hamiara Peer is hanged for treason at the Terrace Jail, Wellington only New Zealander ever to be executed for treason. In 1884 Franti Xch Vostek, Czech Austrian military physician and medicinal lecturer, dies at 49. Canadian politician, founder of the province of Manitoba, and leader of the Métis people of the Canadian prairies, hanged for treason at 41. In 1893 George Alexander Osborne, Irish pianist and composer La Pluie de Pearls, dies of natural causes at 87. In 1907 Robert I, Duke of Parma, last ruling Duke of Parma, dies at 59. In 1908 Henry Gustave Joly de Lotbinière, French-Canadian politician 7th Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, dies at 78. In 1909 Francis Thome, French composer, dies at 59. In 1911 Albert Alonzo Ames, Mayor of Minneapolis b. 1842. In 1922 Max Abraham, German physicist b. 1875. In 1924, Alexander Andreevich Archangelskaya, Russian composer, dies at 78. In 1924, Edward Everett Rice, composer, dies at 75. In 1932, Carrie van Bruggen der Haan, Dutch author Ever, dies at 51. In 1934, Alice Liddell, English schoolgirl model for Alice in Wonderland, dies at 82. In 1934, Carl von Linde, German engineer and chemist who invented mechanical refrigeration, dies at 92. In 1934, Joachim Ringelnatz, writer, dies. In 1935, Kurt Schindler, German-born American composer, dies at 53. In 1939, James Butler, American jurist, U.S. Supreme Court Justice 1923-39, dies at 73. In 1942, Joseph Schmidt, Austrian-Hungarian tenor and actor Der Liebesexpert, A Star Fell from Heaven, dies from a heart attack at 38. In 1943, Marcel Verham, Belgian resistance fighter, executed. In 1944, Charles Kelway, Australian cricket all-rounder, 26 tests, 3 x100s, 52 wickets, 24 catches, dies at 58. In 1945, Carlos Arquier, Finnish poet Koettel Barker, dies of tuberculosis at 43. In 1948, Frederick Gardner Cottrell, American inventor electrostatic precipitator, dies at 71. 1950, Dr. Bob Smith, American physician and co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, dies of colon cancer at 71. In 1953, Sol Ho Opera Ikar Ai, native Hawaiian acoustic and electric lap steel guitar virtuoso, dies of diabetes-related kidney failure at 50. In 1954, Albert Francis Blakesley, American botanist, dies at 80. In 1955, Tomasz Osiewski, 31st Prime Minister of Poland, 3rd Prime Minister of the Polish government in exile in London 1944-47, dies at 88. In 1958, J. W. F. Wormius Buning, Dutch poet Daily Bread, dies at 67. In 1958, Samuel Hopkins Adams Warner Fabian, American journalist and muckraker Great American Fraud, dies at 87. In 1959, Otto Friedrich Hansaker, Swiss-American dairy industry pioneer involved in the American Dairy Science Association, dies at 85. American actor Gone with the Wind, It Happened One Night, known as the King of Hollywood, dies of a coronary thrombosis at 59. In 1961, Samuel Rayburn, American politician, U.S. Representative D from Texas, 1913-61, Speaker of the House for 17 years, dies of pancreatic cancer at 79. In 1964, Albert Haymault, composer, dies at 69. In 1964, John Emery, American actor Ship Ahoy, Kronos, Mademoiselle Fifi, dies at 59. Dutch track cyclist world sprint champion 1921-24, 26, dies at 71. In 1965, Alexander King, author Jack Parshow, dies at 66. In 1965, Harry Blackstone Sr., American magician, dies at 80. In 1965, William Thomas Cosgrave, Irish politician and Fine Gael party leader, president of the Irish Free State, 1922-32, dies at 85. Canadian doctor.